My name is Dominique D'Vita. I'm a certified Tantra coach and registered nurse. Sometimes we make bad choices with partners. I teach my clients how to have amazing self-pleasure and using that self-pleasure to rock their own world, so they don't choose like a fuck boy or a fuck girl that's going to just be taking their energy in not a good way. It can be such a waste of our time or energy with someone that maybe they are not on the same journey as us. If they're doing things where they have a lot of negative emotions, they can be coming over to have a date with you and seem really sweet, but then the whole way there they could be having road rage and cursing at other people, and we don't see that side to them. But then when you're intimate with them, you let them in your most intimate spaces, some of that energy, because emotion is just energy, emotion gets into our energy systems. Especially for females, we are more orgasmic when our heart is open. So if males want to be curious about how can I have my partner have a G-spot orgasm, or if they're going to squirt or whatever, they're just going to be intensely orgasmic, how do I get them to experience that? And they'll try all these techniques and they'll go look at porn or try to figure things out. But what really they need to do is if they can be fully present with us, and if we can do our part and we're with someone that is trustworthy, we feel safe to open up our heart. When we open up like that, then we become more orgasmic. So it is that part of that surrender. And in manifestation and in receiving things, it is also part of the trusting and being able to surrender. And that's when life can get really juicy for us. So all of these things are related. How you feel and how you relate to yourself is pleasure. What kind of self-pleasure you give to yourself, how you are to yourself as a lover is really going to impact how you move in the world, right? So you are able to increase your magnetism. You have that vibe, you go through that flow. When you're really getting into that juiciness, you're really being fully orgasmic in life. Now in our society, unfortunately, there's so much shame around our sexual energy. It's very misunderstood. So often in our culture and our society, we think, we've seen the movies in Hollywood, oh, you complete me and this and that. We think we're looking for our better half. That's not the case. When we're looking outside of ourselves for someone else to fulfill us and to make us feel loved, that's when we can enter relationships from a not healthy place. And that's when we can get upset, because like in the beginning of relationship, it's the honeymoon phase and they're being very attentive and all this oxytocin, all these things are flowing and everything feels so good and magical. But then when life happens and then they're get busy on a project or they have something they have to do, and they're not able to give you that attention all the time, if you don't have good self-love for yourself, then all of a sudden or they can do this to you also. If their self-love isn't on point and yours is, they can lash out and say, oh my gosh, you don't love me because you're not paying attention to me. And then they'll act out even to get negative attention because they just need some kind of attention. I've done this in the past with my relationships before I began my journey with Tantra. I would do that and get on that roller coaster of those unhealthy relationships. And a lot of times when we have an unhealthy relationship with ourselves, like attracts like. That's again law of attraction. So we attract partners also that have that as well. That's their challenge as well. And so then we just keep repeating these negative cycles and negative patterns. So for me, I just started to really love myself so much. And you can't pour from an empty cup. Or if you like the example from like the airplane, put your oxygen mask on first. So once you take care of yourself and you're doing that, then you're going to attract other people that are also doing that. And you raise your vibration, your frequency, because we are energetic beings. Again, with the chakras, which are our energy centers, and we have an aura and an energy field. Fear, shame, anger, hate are very low vibrations on an energy field. When you start to radiate out this loving vibe, you are at a different frequency. It's like when you tune a radio, because it's like you're fine tuning yourself. So when you tune into a radio station, you're checking for a different frequency based on what you want to listen to. Just if you're tuning on a TV. So if you tune in on a TV channel, what do you tune into? Are you tuning into a drama channel? Are you tuning into comedy? Are you on the nature channel, the travel channel, lifestyles of the rich and famous? The crime channel? What kind of channel? That always with the news or the bad news and that's all you're listening to? What frequency are you tuning into? And when you raise your frequency, you're going to attract other people that are at that same frequency. Because again, like I said, like attracts like. So manifestation is a lot about where your level is of self-love. And then whenever you really take your time with yourself and you're really loving yourself in a healthy way, that you're really able to experience amazing self-pleasure, really intense orgasms, you're not going to tolerate a fuck boy or fuck girl or someone coming to you with some BS, because you're going to be like, I can satisfy myself quite well. And if it's not something that I really desire, if it's not someone that really lights me up and I really feel like energetically we're a good match, then I'm going to pass on that. For me, I started reminding myself, my thing was, I was like, I'm not going to be with someone if I would not want to be with like that person. So yeah, they may look cute or whatever, but if deep down I know that they have some work to do that they're not paying attention to and they're not doing for themselves, I look at them like, do they meditate? How do they care for themselves? How do they nourish their bodies? Are they exercising? Do they get negative? How do they handle stress, conflict? Like, really take the time to pay attention. And if they're not at the level that they need to be intimate with you, then do some amazing tantric practices for yourself. Enjoy yourself. Have a date night for yourself. Just knowing how to surrender, to working to heal your heart, to knowing how to be vulnerable and to trust yourself. And a lot of times when we continue to make the same choices and partners, and our body won't trust us, because if we keep dating the bad boy because we think that's a lot of fun and we keep making those choices, then our body will not trust us, and our sex won't be as good, because our body is like, hey, we don't trust you. You've not been making the best decisions for us. So your body will close down a little bit and won't be as open. It's really important to choose partners where we can feel safe with them. Choose people that are able to be also vulnerable, because in our society, it's not in the fault of the men in our society, but our society shows so much with toxic masculinity, and men they haven't been as encouraged to express their emotions and to share and be vulnerable, because they're seen as weak. And they're just here, we're all human. They just are trying to have a human experience. Like, they should be able to express their emotions. They should be able to cry and show sadness. And there's so much pressure put on them to be the providers, to be the protectors. So we have to remind ourselves how our counterparts, how the partners that were with the pressures that they're having in society as well. And whenever you can be with someone, have more of a conscious relationship, and you're with someone who's worked through their own traumas, that they have really strong self-love, and that they're not afraid to be vulnerable either, and you're not afraid. The self-love and everything, why it's so important, that's why I start that with all my clients, is everything, the relationship with you mirrors like every other relationship. You are a mirror for the people that you meet. So people reflect in relationship back to you what your current state is. They'll show you, relationships will really show us what it is that we need to work on. So when we are doing our own self-love and we take that time for ourselves, then we're able to have better relationships, not just with lovers, but with coworkers, with our friends and family, with our children. So it's just really so important that we're able to do that.